Hi everyone, I'm Candace, Eclectic Coaching with Candace, and I wanted to do a video just kind of hanging out and talking about why I am so excited for the future and the future of this planet, and I see all the possibility and what could be. And I think it's worth having a conversation about all the amazing things that are taking place all over the world, all the expansion, all the innovation, uh, all the brilliance that exists all over the world. I think Peter Diamandis, who wrote Abundance, Why the Future is Greater Than You Think, I highly recommend it. Especially if you're freaked out about the planet. You know, we see these clips and we see these videos and we hear all these terrible things that are happening on the planet. And I'm not denying that those things happen, but we need to be a future-oriented society that focuses on, okay, well, what can we do about it? And I think that maybe people just don't know about how amazing and exciting it's going to be, or they look at it, with an eye of apprehension and fear, and that's understandable. Change is happening very, very quickly, and even positive change in our body, we can start throwing up subconscious resistance when we're trying to do something. Our nervous system can throw up some resistance because our body creates this homeostasis. We have these experiences, we become acclimated to them. Our body and our brains fire off all these chemical signals. What fires together wires together, and then we develop these neural pathways and these states, basically, these whole visceral belief systems, schemas, unconscious belief systems, implicit memory. There's different types of memory that's in our brain, and we become addicted to those chemicals, and then we stimulate and or find experiences and pieces of things in our environment to match what we believe and what we see. That's why, like, when we see a car or we just get a new car, we see that car everywhere because it's very much in our perception, and it allows us to see it. There's these things in my psychology class called greebles, these like little gremlin looking things, and at first glance they all look exactly the same. But as you begin looking at them, they become nuanced in each one, and you begin being able to, people get really good at identifying which greebles which. And our brains develop these patterns and these systems of thought. And I think that we can get entrapped in like a state of fear, of anxiety, and the unknown. And so what I'm excited about with regard to our future is I think that we're going to be able to have the bandwidth to engage in these neurogenesis activities, these neuroplasticity activities, because as automation takes over with AI, which can perform certain very specific tasks really, really well, whether it's admin related or it's actually building something, manufacturing is changing, and then we're also going to be doing 3D printing, and we're going to be doing quantum computing and mass simulations of chemical interactions, and I think so we're going to be able to find solutions so much faster. And the thing, though, is that it's changing so quickly, and we're not on this course that we're on with Moore's Law and everything doubling exponentially. That little 2 that doubled exponentially, and this has been happening, I think, for 50 years, they said. I mean, what's concerning about it is that we're just not sure exactly what's going to happen. But I propose that we get out ahead of it with positive expectation and directing this influx of really data and information and electromagnetic frequency, because we're going to be using virtual reality. So we're going to be able to explore new ideas, experiences in virtual space. We're going to have augmented reality, so we can be in our own living room and have like a whole scene and different things moving through our environment. We're going to have digital and outdoor experience overlays. We're going to be, 3D printing. They're going to be 3D printing things in space. That's amazing. I saw this video, and if I find it, I'll put it in the description box below, where they printed a house using 3D printing in an hour. That's amazing. That's spectacular. That's like, we're going to be able to build structures. I mean, just think about, but what's really changed about virtual reality, because I remember back even in the 80s as a kid seeing, and I just thought, oh, that's going to be so cool, and I forgot about it. And I went through this period of my life where I was behind on all the technology, and now I love it. And pieces of my life and why I had to work for different companies like IBM and different tech companies is now making sense, although I did not like it at the time. And I just marvel at the things that we're going to be able to build. And then we're going to be able to use machines that build other machines. And if we do this in a conscious way, in the service of humanity, in the service of fairness, in the service of creating things that are beautiful and beneficial for everyone, I really think that we will have such an expansion of bandwidth of what we could do with the unique properties that we have as human beings. Because in the double slit experiment, where the wave was going from a particle back to a wave based on it being observed, from what I understand, they're not able to recreate this phenomenon. It collapses the wave function when an AI observes the particle. And I think human beings have this special and unique property of being able to create their reality, and the special function of literally creating reality by being here, by experiencing contrast. We are in effect, in essence, in a simulation. And I was having a conversation with my friend, and I might actually have him on the show, but we were discussing, he was saying that this simulated reality is going to help us see and understand, oh, we are already in a simulation. But what that means is that when we're in a higher vibrational frequency, the walls and the structure itself of the time-space reality is more porous when we're in a loving, happy vibration. It's more fluid. It's easier to work with. And according to the Course in Miracles, which is a spiritual text that I really like, it's saying that what's coming to me is, you are a loving thought in the mind of God. So we are basically a loving thought in this massive simulation. And the only thing that's real here in the simulation is the love that's given and the love that's received. And everything else is a part of, and yes, evil and darkness does exist in this dimension, but I love what Marianne Williamson says, that it doesn't exist as an ultimate reality. It's basically the confines of this simulation experience. And we're going to solve tons of primitive problems. Like, we can solve world hunger with vertical grow, with desalination of water, with sourcing our meat from happy cows and bioengineering. What's happening is that there's a dematerialization. There's of things. We're getting access to things to where we can create our own. And I think that what's happening to us on the level of consciousness and our technology is really mirroring consciousness, which is that we create our own reality. And anyway, back to what my friend and I were talking about, is that through using this simulation technology, we're going to have an awareness that, oh yeah, we are in this simulation, because it's like this metaphor that you access in a very emotional, a very visceral way on a regular basis, because the internet was the first big wave, and this is going to be the next big wave, this virtual space, this augmented reality. And I was saying, and I think that as a parallel and as a prescriptive to society's ills, we're going to be instructed to go outside and commune with nature and discharge these electromagnetic frequencies that are moving through the airwaves that we're not really fully aware of how they are affecting us quite yet. Although there is technology that is coming out, like biofeedback and stuff like that, that's measuring those types of things. But just like germs were affecting humanity before, we could see them through a microscope, and I love what they said at the Noetic Sciences, that topics in and of themselves are not pseudoscientific. It's the measurements that we use to see if it is being scientifically, rigorously measured. Now, I know there's other paradigms beyond the scientific, what you can measure. It's not real unless you can measure it. Like, we know that that's not true. We know that there are things that we can't see, but we can see the effects of. And we're just growing and growing and growing in our ability to see and know and understand. And that's the thing about the infinite, is that as you dive into it, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's just so many different layers. And this is such a great time in human history to have hobbies and be passionate about things. We are human beings, not human doings. And what I find interesting is that as a society, especially through our Puritan work ethic, we got here from pilgrims, and they want you to work, want you to get that shit done. We're taught like this hustle, this work ethic, you do, and that your value comes from that. But what's interesting is that in the future, and what we're moving into, is your value comes from your being, from your presence, from your connection. You couldn't be more valuable. You chose to come here. You're participating in the expansion of the universe. I was watching a World Science Festival, and they were a bunch of physicists discussing how the universe is in fact expanding. And our nervous systems, as complex and as amazing as they are the most complex structures in the known universe. There's filters on our brain. That's part of what hallucinogenics do, is they take the filter off so we can see things. And we're now starting to study these plant chemicals. And I was watching this thing on the Amazon, and it was talking about what these scientists are discovering about the plants in the Amazon. The shaman knew for a long time. And that's really what the shamans do. And I believe that I've had a past life as a shaman. I had a very different physical form in the Amazon, and that's what shamans do. They offer information, and they also are kind of odd and on the offset of, or the outskirts kind of society, and they also introduce new technology. And I'm super excited about bioengineering. Every time I see a cow and I watch them play, they have such cute personalities. I think that's where our meat's going to come from. How nice is it going to be able to have a steak and not get any weird looks from your vegan, vegetarian friend, because no cows are harmed in this process. There's no, antibiotics in it. It's happy. It's a happy, happy cow. and they're going to make it taste exactly the same. They know that they need to have the elasticity, the taste, the texture, every single thing that could be measured. And they're going to just be really open and transparent about it. And these vertical growth structures, we're going to be able to fortify our buildings so that they're earthquake and fire resistant. There's no end to the creativity that we're going to be able to come up with. And that's what I am truly, truly excited about, because when robots are cleaning my house, oh my God, I want a robot that cleans my house. You know, then you just have all this time to be creative. And think about it, single moms, have a robot clean every part of your house all day, every day. You know, just the way you would prefer it, so that you can spend time with your kids. How awesome does that sound? And that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we're going to be able to do. So if you're fearful about the future, and I think that we can regreen, regrow, heal, replenish the planet. I am so excited about that. I think that that is an inevitability if we get solution focused. So I just wanted to discuss just a few areas of technology, and I'm getting into discussing universal basic income. I'll do a separate video on that because it's going to cut me out. But if you found this video interesting or helpful or thought-provoking, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be making more. I'm really enjoying this. My technology is finally working. Maybe it's meant to be happening now. All right. See you soon. And I'm going to be doing private coaching, private readings. So stay tuned for that, and we'll chat soon. Take care.